Hello and welcome, one and all, to a detour, I suppose, of sorts. Um, I have finished the first three episodes of Hazbin Hotel, and before moving on to the fourth one, it occurred to me that I don't think I've seen the Addict music video. And again, I've mentioned before that I watched the Hazbin Hotel pilot way back when it came out, but I don't think I ever really heard about the Addict music video for some reason, which is crazy because it looks like on YouTube it actually has more views. The Addict music video has more views and by a rather substantial margin than the actual pilot for the series did, which is kind of crazy to think about, I think. Um, but yeah, to my understanding, this video is still up on VivziePop's YouTube channel, but to my understanding, this is like pseudo canon. It's like it's not explicitly still canon to the actual series, but it also isn't like refuted in any kind of official capacity either. So I don't know. A lot of people seem to think that this is worth watching for Has Been Hotel, so I'm going to give it a watch. And I don't necessarily know if this is going to go up on my original reaction channel or my Watchalong channel or both. So if it's needed, here's a countdown starting in three, two, one, go. Video contains, okay, yeah, a bunch of crazy things that are typical of Has Been Hotel. Got it. Okay, that was Valentino. This is interesting. Very the contrast like of Angel seemingly like embracing who he is on the stage and then the flashes to like what looks like a crummy hotel room. Ooh. Oh, okay. Ooh. I wonder if or when we're gonna see this character in the actual series, because I remember her from the pilot, but Okay. Okay, okay. So this is all right. There's still like a bit of the video left. Is it just credits for this whole time? Oh, I guess not. Oh, okay. Okay. That last scene I think adds a lot to the video. At first I was kind of like, eh, I don't really see why people necessarily talk this up so much as like being something that you should watch going into Hazbin Hotel, but because like I get the kind of story that's being told through the music video is more or less, again, whether it's considered like true canon or not or whatever. It's basically the story of like Angel Dust's backstory, right? And then to see at the end there, like a bit less of like backstory, a bit less of like past, and more of like current situation. It's very interesting, very cool to see that. I guess just to put it simply, it's very cool to see how to see it at least through this piece of media. Again, I hope that we kind of get some, even if it's not like, again, like a complete confirmation of what we see here in the actual show. I do hope that we see something that sort of like at the very least kind of like references this almost to an extent, or at least kind of mirrors it in a way of seeing how how Angel's past experiences do still very much impact him, do still very much affect him. And again, at this point in time, I've watched the first 3 episodes of Hazbin Hotel, so I think that I have, to a small extent, kind of arguably seen something like that in the way that Valentino, in episode 2, Valentino calls Angel an addict. He refers to Angel as an addict, and that specifically, this was while Angel was listening to all of the voice recordings, all of the voicemails that he'd been left by Valentino, and that specifically, him being called an addict, seemed to kind of almost trigger him in a sense. It didn't cause a it didn't cause an extreme physical reaction, but it did seem to cause very much like a mental reaction where again there was kind of like the he got even more dejected at that point and was lying in bed and just again the thoughts of like almost hopelessness and helplessness of like being this idea that like you'll never be anything more than just this. And so seeing this sort of like again this sort of backstory where I think her name is Cherry Bomb, the character that we see here featured in heavily prominently in the video that from the pilot, where she seemingly kind of saved him, almost saved Angel from Valentino's clutches, where it does seem to be the case that he, I don't know, it's you don't want to glean too much and read too much into certain little visual story aspects of visual storytelling, but it does very much seem like he was kind of forced into whatever kind of relationship he had with Valentino and didn't really like being there. And so to see that Cherry Bomb kind of saved him from that is really cool and gave him this sort of new lease on life where he's able to kind of embrace the fact that, you know, he does get, you know, he enjoys getting high on, you know, whether it's drugs, alcohol, the exhilaration of, like, you know, violence, just, you know, the various acts of depravity that one can enjoy in hell. And I think it is kind of just neat to see him sort of get, again, just get kind of that new lease on life from Cherry Bomb, as opposed to how he seemingly was feeling, being again arguably stuck or trapped with Valentino. But at the same time, we also get those flashes again of that, like, of what seems to be like a crummy hotel room where he is with Cherry but still kind of feeling awful and feeling like, again, just sort of, I guess, arguably like on the come down from the more energetic and enjoyable aspects and scenes that we see with those two together. So that, and then that kind of leads us to, again, the very end of the video, where he is talking about how he is hoping to be able to enjoy staying at this hotel. So it's just, yeah, it, if we do kind of see very, like, I again, I want to kind of very directly see this angel dust be portrayed a bit more directly in the show, because I think that this is very cool direction to go with the character, where, like, he does, and I think I've touched on this a bit during or after episode 2 rather, given how we saw him react to certain things. I do really want to see this angel dust that does want to be better, but has a hard time doing so. He struggles to do so because of what he's been through, right? You can't just get over trauma. You can't just get over, again, what was seemingly an abusive relationship. And the abusive relationship, again, I don't want to read too heavily into it based on only small pieces of information. Again, especially coming from, like, this video, which is, I think, not entirely necessarily considered canon, but there's also, like, I'm pretty sure I called a spade in episode 2 when Angel was listening to those voicemails, and, like, the way that Valentino was flipping back and forth from, like, praise to just, like, you know, objectifying and insulting and demeaning. And I think I straight up called it an abusive relationship at that point in time. So yeah, and something else that I thought was just a really cool little thing was, like, as we move into the kind of post credits portion of the video, and you know, it's initially just kind of Angel Dust musing to himself, and then when Charlie kind of appears and puts her hand on him, he immediately reacts negatively and leaves. And that could just be kind of seen as a, like, hey, leave me alone, I'm trying to, you know, I'm thinking to myself here, right? Do you mind? I think that it was more so kind of meant to demonstrate that after Valentino was so kind of disrespectful and uh just like, and just, oh, there's a word I'm trying to think of, anyways, and the way that he just kind of ignored any sense of, like, boundaries or personal space, and sort of, you know, treated Angel like an object, and was, you know, just kind of like grabbing at him and, like, doing with Angel what he wanted to do with Angel. It makes sense for someone like that to then have an aversion to physical touch, right? So that was a really cool little touch. And again, a lot of the flashes to between, like, present and past, and the way that Angel is seemingly very willing to acknowledge here that he has a problem, right? Like, he mentions how, you know, the getting high, like, it gives him that feeling of exhilaration, but it's only, he's acknowledging that, like, it's a temporary feeling and it doesn't solve problems. And yeah, I don't know, this was a cool video. I'm glad I watched this. I'm glad I watched this, and again, it just kind of, the big thing for me, I think, the big takeaway for me, I think, from this video is wanting to see Angel as a character explored more in the show. which I think we're probably likely to get. There's a couple of times already, just in the first few episodes, that I've mentioned this, where I think that certain things being touched on briefly in these first few episodes are very much trying to set up like, hey, this is going to be something we explore later. This is going to be something we address later. This is going to be something we talk about later. And again, in episode 2, we saw that like when Charlie and Vaggie seemed to like just not really be taking Angel's presence and like status as a resident of the Hazbin Hotel seriously, it did seem to like negatively impact him. And so yeah, I'm very interested and very curious and excited to see more of Angel's story. And with that, I think we're going to call the video there. Again, not really sure how I'm going to do this between my original reaction channel and Watchalong reaction channel, but regardless of which of these videos you watched, maybe you watched both of them. If so, greatly appreciate you. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until I see you in the next one, take care. Bye-bye.